Hello, everybody. This is Kiran Gangi with another episode of the Retail Price Talk. Today, with me, I have a very special guest, Marcus, who is the head of pricing at Hemshop in Stockholm. And he has a very wide range of experiences, all the way from political science to working with franchises, with hard discounting, with FMCG, with fresh produce. And now he's managing a lot to do around pricing with the regular hem shop retail stores, which also has a lot of challenges today in terms of the changing tax regulations, the changing market environment, and also the changing customer behavior. I'm very happy to have Marcus. I'm going to stop at your first name because I want you to finish your last name. And please continue with your introduction, which I didn't complete so far.
Yeah, thank you, Kiran. As you said, I work as head of pricing strategy at Hemköpskedjan in Sweden. My name is Marcus Standardsköld Nordenstam. I have a 20 years plus experience from fast-moving consumer goods from Sweden and also some years from Finland. Always working with price and assortment.
Excellent. So that is your current position. But tell me about your journey, Marcus.
Yes.
Where did you start, and what all did you cover on your way with arriving now here at the head of Hem Shop and to head the pricing here?
From Finland, and I grew up there. Then during my studies, studied political science, as you mentioned earlier. I was 1 year in Germany, and there I found interest in this in fast-moving consumer goods. Every day, something in the news about Aldi, about Lidl, about pricing, about this or that with food, and I started to find it interesting that it's really something is really happening, and it's competition in the market and between the stores. And after that, then after my studies, I first worked a bit in the politics, but then I decided to move on and headed on to this kind of work. And somehow price has always been interesting and interested me, and found it a bit easier than other things, and one thing has led to another.
Now, very, very interesting indeed. Pricing involves understanding psychology, of course.
Mm.
It understands how do you work with different people in the industry, right? Does it have to be like the right story set to the customer, with your internal stakeholders, the category managers, the management, various parties to be addressed at the same time? I can see how your a political science background might have helped a little bit there, but also it requires a understanding of numbers and also, say, for example, how do you handle operations? So that all of that came from your background with your different roles. Can you explain briefly what your experience has been, which has prepared you for this role?
Good normal school in Finland about the numbers, because I think it's not that difficult maths in retail. At least earlier, it was not that difficult. Not maybe now with AI and machine learning and predictive pricing and so on. It's becoming more and more difficult. And but earlier it was to count on the margin, and you could complete the most of the basic maths and understanding about it. But then it's a lot about understanding the people, about understanding what's happening, and that I have got from early background with family discussing what's happening in society, then interested in political science and that kind of things, to understand it then and to translate it into your behavior in the business, in the retail, and to gain advantage of it. Because in retail we sell something to real people, and we need to know what's in their daily mind and daily behavior, and what's affecting them, and deciding their way of what they are choosing, way of working and way of doing things. And there I think I can really find an advantage. Not only have this economical number background, also have this society background, if I can say so.
Absolutely. I think to your point we were having earlier, putting the customer first and understanding what is it the customer needs, it should be the driving strategy behind any decision. Is that something you work and execute on also, Marcus?
That's true. That's true. For me, it's always the customer first, and to analyze what kind of customer do I have, and what's important for the customers that we have and that we want to have also. I strongly believe in making customer happy will then for long term make us more profitable and healthier business over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Just it should be the driving force of
Yeah,
any business. And
absolutely.
if you can train your algorithms to understand how a customer perceives your price or your, offering, even better. But with an idea of, having grown up in a society which is interactive with the right educational
Mm,
framework and your multicultural experience, you're able to, communicate that back
mm,
to the business strategy on how it should
mm.
be done for the customer in the end. And so, how is a customer in the Nordics different, Marcus? How does it compare to, say, for example, Germany or to, mainland like Europe, when you think about Netherlands, say, for example, or Spain?
Mm.
How is a customer here in Sweden, in the Nordics, different?
I think we should talk about Sweden, not about Nordics, because customer in Finland and Sweden, it's a huge difference actually about
Very
the behavior.
interesting. Tell us about the
Uh,
difference, please.
and it has a lot of to do, in my opinion, with the economical situation. Sweden is a rich country and has been that for a long time, and Finland has totally different history about it, and also the mentality in Finland and compared to Sweden is different. So Finland and Germany, they are quite the same kind of thinking, and the price is really important. Make more rational decisions. But in Sweden, it's more value-based thinking of everything, and marketing and that kind of things take more place, more space.
Okay.
So in Sweden, the most of the customer hasn't been thinking about price for a long time, and it has been many in the retail, not only in all retail. It has been easy to gain profitability, and if you put your costs onwards to the customers. But then for a couple of years ago, it changed a lot with the inflation in Europe. So
Okay.
we've seen something new here.
Interesting. So there is less price sensitivity, but there is an overall, need for building of the right marketing image around your offering,
Yes.
and also to be able to provide value overall
Yeah.
to customer in Sweden compared to
Yes.
Finland. Very, very interesting. I did not know that. So now we've also talked about food in the past, Marcus. That was very
Mhm.
interesting for me because we have a solution which reduces food waste. But having worked in the side of the organization, which was literally in charge of managing the fresh produce inside a retail organization, and of course, as a consumer from different countries, and now operating this inside of a retail environment yourself, tell us about what's happening with the food waste and with the consumption of food patterns in general, maybe in Sweden in particular.
It's changing quite a lot, and if I compared it for the last 5 or 10 years, it has been changing many times during that time. The organic thing or way of thinking was really rising for 10 years, 5 years ago. But then suddenly it started to change. I think it was with the overall inflation rates changing here in the world. And now it's more like Sweden produced things that are important and not the organic anymore in
Okay.
that way.
Okay.
And so we really need to listen to the customer to see what is important and what is the behavior and what are the driving forces there. Because some in the same time we have political pressures to reduce food waste, to be eat more organic, and then we see that customers they may be question and want more Swedish produced thing and not organic anymore. So
Yeah.
are we going hand in hand or driving in different directions here?
Understood. So I have seen, say for example, in some parts of the world, consumption of fresh produce is extremely expensive, and
Mm.
as a result, the consumption becomes more fast food and unhealthy food. In other parts of the world, fresh produce is almost never purchased in a retail store because the moment it goes through a supply chain, they expect it not to be very fresh, so they literally purchase it in farmers market or like little stores outside or directly go to their own farm, say, for example, right?
Mm.
In Sweden, is there a preference for how people do their fresh produce shopping? And are they particular about factors in, say, for example, in parts of the world, the pesticides and, what is being grown without exposure to chemicals is very, very important. So when it
Mm.
comes to how a customer is looking at this particular category, what matters in Sweden compared to everywhere else?
In Sweden, it's the same kind of problems in Sweden as in as you just described, with costs and supply and you are, if you go through a factory, you lose some days before it's in the stores, and then it go home to the fridge, and then you eat it maybe
Mhm.
too many days after it was produced somewhere, and the freshness and the quality is not that you expect. But I think it's still in Sweden because you have had a bit more money, the customer, and used a bit higher quality of life. So the quality is a bit higher here in many things. And in the last years, we, at least we in Hemchat, we have developed and started to do many things in the stores, some fresh foods in the store, and so you can buy store-made food at home, and to be it really close to the customer and really fresh. And the main thing and or the key question has been at how can you do it with so low costs, that you can offer it to the customer with a price that they are ready to buy for.
Excellent. And I
And
think by the nature of how Europe and in general and Sweden
mm,
has its policies already in place,
mm,
customers can expect very, very fresh produce inside a retail
mm,
store and then not contaminated by pesticides. I remember my trip to Sweden, Stockholm, and I was so surprised with the quality of the salads. And it could be like salads you could get off a train station or in a restaurant.
yeah.
They're all delicious, and it doesn't happen that often in many other industrialized parts of the world. So good, good. You are in this ecosystem and you're helping the customers get a
Mm,
value on that also, Marcus. Now, talking about prices and management of it, you recently went through a very big challenge. Sweden,
that's true.
there was a reduction in the tax on grocery, I think, in all of the products, if correct me if I'm wrong. It went from 12% to 6%, mainly to accommodate the increased cost changes in the Middle East war because of the Middle East
Yeah.
war. My guess would have been that we are going to use this opportunity to, make sure the customer who receives good value will get more discount, etc., etc. But it was a whole different challenge managing this situation, not just for you, for the entire industry. Can you tell us what happened?
Yes, the government decided overnight, for some, it was in October 25, I think. Now we are going to reduce the VAT tax, and it was for what we are eating, so not for paper and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So what everything that the groceries that we are selling that we can eat. And it sounded quite easy. We just count new price and taking in that new tax into account, and it will be easy. Change the shelf price. But then we started to talk about our IT department and understood quite fast that it will be a huge challenge for everyone. And our ITs have worked day and night from the day the announcement came until the day it was the new taxes was in the store, and it was really a huge change for them. And as I read from some other newspapers, all of our competitors have the same challenges because it's that huge amount of data that are going through the systems, and we still 1st of April, when the new taxes was going live, everything had to work in the stores. We need to have a new prices in the stores. We need to have customers could buy it, and we can't crash down anything. And so it was to plan this everything so that we had an IT environment to solve it was the main thing actually.
Understood. I can understand, maybe this is where your background in political science might have helped a little
Mm,
bit, Marcus. or there's a lot of dynamics at play here. The government here sincerely wants everybody to get a discounted price on food because the costs are going up and we don't want to tax something which is a basic necessity. At the same time, they want to make sure that nobody in the middle is gouging on the profit at the cost of the customers not having food. And the customers are all a little bit wary. Suddenly, it's like, hey, something is going on. Is this going to be, done right? Is somebody looking at it? And you are managing this humongous amount of, because if you don't pass those changes on right and on time,
Mhm.
either you're legally under, compliance issue, or you're losing margin.
Mhm.
So and I think you were mentioning an interesting point last time. Simple things like price ending. If something becomes, from 5 euros to 4.12 euros, what are you gonna do with this? Are you gonna make this 4 euros? Are you gonna make it 4.5? So how did you navigate this, Marcus? And nobody could prepare you for this.
No, earlier we had more or less at Hemköp we had two price endings, 0.50 or 0.95. But now the possibility was to have 100 price endings and how to navigate there. So the first thing we did was to simulate different scenarios with different price endings. And always our main approach, and as I have understood now that our competitors also had the same approach, that we can't put it for every single article. We need to take the reduction. Nobody want to take that risk that we are seeing on some article, and then we are on the headlines somewhere that Hemköp didn't give the money back to the customer.
Right,
So
right,
it was in this every single article we need to give the money back to the customer, and then we started to simulate about the price endings.
yeah,
What would it cost? And still some 5 öre or some cents just going down. It's a huge amount of money
right.
in the end effect.
Yeah,
And
because the difference between 4.5 and 4 is
mm,
more than 10%.
yes,
So and 10% is a big number to think about when you're
yeah,
delicately managing retail operations with a thin
yeah,
margin. So I can totally imagine, but I'm glad most of it is over, and it's an important lesson here to see how a simple change in regulation can literally change, the workload on so many different people and organizations just to catch up. But maybe this learning will give you a better way to move forward in the future if something else comes about. Uh,
yes.
Talking about these infrastructure and in terms of how pricing is being done, in one of our earlier podcasts, Marcus, we talked about how there has been like a seismic shift in retail in different parts of the world. In fact, I had just published an op-ed in a retail magazine about how many countries are bypassing the retail store and not even doing e-commerce, they're doing quick commerce with these, black warehouses where there is no store, but they get a lower price and instant delivery at very little cost. This might not be happening in Sweden, but how do you see the industry of retail evolve in the coming years in Sweden, Marcus? What do you think is going to happen?
The retail here has been investing a lot in the e-commerce, and I'm sure that there will be some kind of changes because it hasn't took the place. It hasn't been taking the place that I think that was expected, and it's really difficult to gain some kind of profitability in it. So there will be some changes for sure in the next couple of years, I think.
Okay.
Uh, and then, but then is this quick commerce is evolving, and we know that we have stores that they're making quite some smaller stores, franchise stores from. But from our competitors, that we know that they are a big amount of their turnover comes from quick commerce. So there is something in that kind. But if to gain it profitability on it and then so that yeah, I don't think it's for everybody, and it's won't be that huge. But still, where is it growing? Where is our market growing?
Right. Yeah.
For there in that kind of things, for sure, it will grow there. And in Sweden, we don't get more people in here. It's we have our 11 million
Yeah.
peoples, and we as Hemköp we still need to grow and to be so we need to find solutions to this kind of behavioral changes on people. And I think it's becoming more and more difficult because we are not that we are more heterogeneous in the society
Right.
that we ever been. So smaller and smaller group, different kind of behavior, and we still need to be top of mind of them and to buy food from us and not from a competitor, and
Exactly.
still do it with profitability.
Makes sense, makes sense. And it is fascinating how different parts of the world, and it's the same process of, transferring goods from
Yeah.
manufacturing to customers. The whole process is so different. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking to David McKay from Australia, and he was talking about how isolated their supply chain was, and how they have to go through, already set amounts of inventory, which is going to be coming in, which is going to going up. The inflation quickly plays a role over there. But here we're talking about the same 11 million people, and it is mind-boggling for me because having grown up in India, 11 million is the population of a very small city in India. But it is the whole population of Sweden. At the same time, it is so diverse. I've been there. And then how everybody still maintains their way of living and their, cuisine and culture. So it's a very good, interesting challenge indeed. Lastly, to finish our conversation, any notes on, a lot of things have changed in the last 6 months in terms of how data is analyzed and processed, Marcus. In fact, in October, I'm going to be conducting a workshop on how to do pricing with the data available. It's going to be in a format of a pricing hackathon. And I have told them I am not going to prepare my material 1 month before it's due. Because if I prepare something now, it's going to change in October. What tools are available, how the analysis is done, and what kind of strategy to formulate based on what's available. That is changing so rapidly, and in how we are delivering our solution, Marcus, we no longer can go with here's a fixed software as a service tool. We do have it, but it's more like, given how easy computing has become now with your data, with your challenge, we are going to co-develop it, and then we leave behind a license which will work for that particular retailer. It's completely changed. We think about ChatGPT, we think about Claude, really, really changing drastically, right? So do you see any of these playing an impact in how retailers operate in Sweden, Nordics, and in your surroundings, what you've seen, Marcus?
Not yet. I know that most of our competitors and we have pricing tools that they're taking into account data. It's more about machine learning data, the old way of price elasticity and so on. But that was more about the numbers and selling numbers and that kind of data. But still, in retail, it's so many other things that are affecting how much you are selling and what kind of things you are selling and so on. And we need to go into that direction to take seasonality and weather and cannibalization and everything into account to get good pricing tools to the teams. And I'm sure we will go there, but I don't know in what kind of pace. I'm sure we are really interested in looking in it and try to be. Yeah, we want to be leading in pricing in Sweden. So for sure we need to go there but as you said, it's evolving in so rapid pace at the moment. So it's difficult to say today that we want something. Maybe it's tomorrow or 1 month or 3 months. It's something different, or we have some different opportunities. So this kind of license system, they are flexible and evolving. It needs to be something like that, not a fixed system with hard coding and then we make a new system in 5 or 10 years. That's not the way for the future.
No, absolutely. You said it right. And the key things which matter is, say, for example, understanding human behavior, customer behavior.
Mm.
We've evolved over millions of years. These things won't change so quickly, so rapidly. How a customer perceives value, The trust which you built over the
Yes.
numerous years with your customer is real brand asset which you already have. And your particular understanding of, how do you manage the various stakeholders, how do you still deliver value to the customer is the most important. At the same time, to be able to see what is out there and experiment will become a part of everybody's operations into the future.
Mm.
And then maybe you can come join me for one of these workshops, or if any of you, if somebody in the audience is interested, I will put a link to these upcoming workshops.
Yes.
If you're open to networking and communicating, Marcus, how would you like our audience to reach out to you?
I'm at LinkedIn. Maybe it's the easiest thing way of getting in contact with
I can
me.
I can drop your link in the
Yeah,
post, and wherever this podcast
yeah,
is going, I will
yeah,
drop your LinkedIn. Maybe that will be a good way to make a
yeah.
connection with you, Marcus.
But one last thing about we have been talking about customer behavior and to reach out to your customer and so on. But I think everybody should think about who is your customer and who is your preferred customer, because at least in our business we have everybody is in our stores, but we probably want to or probably we think that some kind of customer group are more important than another, and then I'm convinced that we should focus on the customer groups that we think it's the most important for us in
Yeah.
every kind of pricing decisions, assortment decisions, campaign decisions, and so on and so on. And that has been really successful for us at Hemshop, at least.
Makes sense, makes sense. And it's like you rightly said, for every business, it is important to identify where is that best overlap between what a customer wants and what you can offer, and identify that segment of the market. I think it was Steve Jobs who said, unless you're ice cream, you can't please everybody.
Yeah.
So, all of us will focus on, identifying and delivering
Mm.
to our key core customers. But
Yeah.
thank you very much for being on our podcast, Marcus. And
Thank you.
like I promised, I will leave the links for our LinkedIn profiles here, and also for the upcoming workshops we're going to conduct around pricing. And
Mm.
thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank you.